current state of early childhood education in India. As you would already know that the first 5 years of a child's life supports fast learning. It is the time when 90% of the child's brain gets developed. The most embedded parts of their personality, their emotions, their moral values, their ability to deal with people and situations are all based on the kind of experiences they have during 0 to 5 years. Early childhood care and education is not new to us. India's past cultural heritage indicates that traditionally the early years were considered to lay the foundation for inculcation of basic values and social skills in children. Much of the early care and education of the child was informal, within the families in the form of stories, lullabies, and were handed over from one generation to another. If you look back, you would find Jataka and Panchatantra tales were such successful methods to instill basic values and social skills in younger children. Unlike today's time, children were allowed to play in mud or sand. Even their toys were also made of mud, clay, or wood, which all helped developing the child's fine muscles and overall grip without any stress or anxiety. Unfortunately, these tested, proven, and appropriate childcare techniques gradually became extinct, and the modern provisions came into the picture. Though we were quite good at early years childcare, but post-colonization, we adopted new methodologies and theories from the West, with very little understanding and even lesser training. Suddenly, the old proven techniques were discarded and discredited. Another reason for this shift was the change in the types of families, which got reduced from joint families to nuclear families. The responsibility of parenthood shifted from many people in the family and got rested on the shoulders of the mother and the father. Now they started further seeking help from the outside institutions, and this is how flourished the concept of organized preschool education. This was early 1950s when Gijubai Bhadeka and Tarabai Modak became pioneers of this movement. Just before this, Madame Montessori made a visit to India and met Mr. Gandhi. They both were of a common opinion about Indianized form of Montessori methodology, which further led to the establishment of the first preschool education center in Gujarat. Since then, though a lot of progression can be seen in the last 60 to 70 years, but yet they are not sufficient to call ourselves good at providing early childhood care and education. Because of lack of funds, more importance is given to primary education than early childhood education, and it is often neglected in areas of regulations and teachers training. So what are the current issues which this section of education in India is facing? I'm sure you would agree with me that education in India is still directed towards theoretical knowledge. Later on, such students tend to find theory more important than practical implementation and application. And we all know the limitations of such an approach. To impart practical knowledge, it must be easy to understand and shouldn't make study hectic. And even the child should also enjoy their school time. In presence of rote learning, children can miss out on stimulating environment that are of high importance in early years. The quality of non-formal preschools and education imparted through these multiple channels is uneven and varies from minimalistic approach to a mixed combination of different academic programs. Current preschool structures are a result of lack of understanding of the very concept of ECCE, its importance and philosophy. Likewise, our system doesn't have enough institutional capacity and standard to produce large number of preschool educators, which are the demand of the growing preschool business. As a result of which, grave compromises are made while selecting preschool educators as well as their salaries. Very often, I have personally visited such schools which have teachers on compromised salaries with zero relevant experiences or educational background. Such teachers do not know the learning domains of ECCE or learning milestones of 0 to 6 years and cannot facilitate learning. Classroom observations are done not based on evidences but on very generic parameters without making a note of any anecdotal records. Children's work are replaced by beautiful artwork by teachers to suit the presentability of the school and not the learning needs of a child. While I was trying to understand the reasons which are restrictions, I happened to read a study called Starting Well, published by Economics Intelligence Unit in year 2012. It is a benchmark report of 45 nations, the top 5 being Finland, Sweden, Norway, UK and Belgium. Similarly, in 2008, UNICEF published the Child Care Transition Report, which had evaluated ECE of most economically advanced countries in the world against 10 criteria. Countries such as Sweden, France and other Scandinavian countries met more than 8 criteria out of 10. Taking Sweden as an example, the early childhood education is called educare. As the name suggests, it's a system where education and care go hand in hand. The well-informed structure encourages a warm, loving interaction between teacher and the child who both explore the world together. Under this structure, a teacher is eligible for employment only after 3.5 years of university education and nothing less than that. All this brings us to a realization that early childhood education in India dearly needs a common framework in the form of a curriculum of learning standards to help the staff to clarify their pedagogical aims, keep progression in mind, focus on the most important aspects of child development, and respond adequately to the child's needs. This framework will also help in bringing continuity between ECE and primary schooling. Also, a common framework will help parents to learn about the child development so that they can ensure good home learning environment. Well, the good news is that we have almost reached the threshold bringing such a framework into reality. In 2011, the Indian government have already proposed National Early Childhood Care and Education Policy. It was proposed keeping in mind an integration of ECE with the Right to Education Act and thus ensuring a smooth transition into formal schooling. If this policy comes into practice, all service providers, private or public, will have to get registered with the state government to ensure quality and services provided. Under the new policy, which can come up in another 3 years, we'll have a regulatory framework for the ECC to ensure basic quality inputs and outcomes across all service providers undertaking such services. They'll have to be progressively evolved at the national level and implemented by states. It will promote play-based, experiential and child-friendly provisions for early education and all-round development under the guidance of National ECC Council. This brings me to the end of this talk. I hope this policy comes into practice very soon and it benefits all education providers. Keep teaching, keep learning. Have a great day.